Shabbat Shalom, awesome tribes of Israel. This is the Kohen from the East with another lecture. Baruch Hashem Yahweh for a great week. Busy week by far. Lot of traveling. Still in travels. Hasn't quite finished yet. Up and down the country, east and west and north and south. Right now I'm in the north of the country, in the capital. And so I decided that it would be prudent to record my lecture over here before I head back. Now, I'm going to talk about Chai Sera, our Torah Pasha. I'm going to omit the joke section today because as I'm traveling, I had to leave my laptop behind to go lightly without the laptop. So I thought it'd be prudent to speak about things that are important to our faith, the way of living, and other things that we do. Now, I want to make one thing clear, that just because we've been teaching the principles of prosperity and how to use God within us to prosper ourselves, it does not mean that we now remove the Torah from us, or we stop keeping the Sabbath, or we stop adhering to the commandments that the God of Israel has commanded us. It must not be misunderstood that it is not about just material wealth, but there is also a spiritual aspect to this as well. Now, this is one of the sins of our people in the past. When they got their material wealth, or as they were in the process of acquiring it, and they acquired the material wealth, then they departed from God, and then you heard nothing from them. So we do not want to adhere to that pattern of ancient times, when certain of our people, after becoming prosperous and wealthy, they then lost sight of God and just disappeared from the picture altogether, and then ended up chasing after other gods of the nations. Hence why it's very important to understand that our focus that is being espoused in our Holy Scriptures throughout is that we can be prosperous, we should be prosperous, and we are going to be prosperous. But there is an if and a but, and that is this, that we adhere to the commandments, and we keep sight of our Sabbath, we keep sight of our festivals, and we keep sight of our cleanliness and holy laws that make us the nation of Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, that we are. It's very, very important. So that was my disclaimer, that Torah is still king, will always remain king, and will never be put down or be taken out of the way. Now, with that in mind, I wanted to look at the life of Sarah, our foremother, one of the matriarchs that we highly revere, because Sarah was a woman that is described in the book of Genesis. In Genesis 23, it says Sarah was 107 and 20 years old. These were the years of the life of Sarah. So Sarah was 127 years old. And it says that Sarah died in Kiryat Arba, the same is Hebron, in the land of Canaan, and Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. And Abraham stood up from before his dead and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. Give me a possession of a burial plot with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the children of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my lord. You are a mighty prince among us. In the choice of our sepulchres, bury your dead. None of us shall withhold from you his sepulchre, but that you may bury your dead. Now it's very important that within this chapter there are a number of themes, and I want to touch on a number of themes. The first theme I want to touch on is a theme of the way the Hebrew is written in the book of Genesis, or other books as well, count years as 107 and plus 20 years. Meaning it doesn't say as a traditional English grammar that it says 127. It doesn't say 127. It says 100, 100, and 7, and 20. So these are two conjugations of and within, obviously, this within the what are the mentions of the years of Sarah. Now, the first theme I want to speak about is that where I am present today, I have noted in a number of families here, Christian families, by the way, they are today calling themselves Christians, and in some Muslim families, that they adhere to the same principle. In other words, when you do a count of money, and you might say, I have 27 notes. You have 27 notes in your hand, and they do not say 27. They say 20 plus 7. They say like that. So that gives me two perspectives. Number one, that they have a connection to the tribes of Israel. Number two, that they still hold to the ancient count system. In other words, they even though they live in almost a modern state, they do not adhere to modern English grammar as such. They still adhere to their old way of counting, ancient way, which gives us two perspectives. That one, they may have a connection with the tribes of Israel. Two, that the ancient counting was only used in the Hebraic understanding. Hence why that is one perspective, or one thing that I wanted to point out to you is basically what goes on. The second theme in this is that Sarah was mentioned as 127 years old. So what does that mean to us is that she's 127 years old. So here, what the God of Israel is trying to espouse to us, that Sarah, mentioning her years, she was a righteous woman. She was a righteous wife. She was a very obedient wife to her husband. She loved her husband, and in return, the husband loved Sarah as much. Now, what does this mean to us in the modern world? It means that women and men, both men and women, they are commanded to love each other. And this is a commandment that is echoed in the New Testament, where the disciples of the Messiah and the Messiah, Yeshua, Jesus of Nazareth, says that love one another. Now that commandment and the action of that commandment is basically seen over here already in Sarah's life, where she was an obedient, humble, demure, I should say as well, demure wife to her husband. Now, this does not mean that women have to be slaves to their husband, but it does mean that there is a role structure in the Bible where, although male and female are equal, whatever jobs they want to do, a woman can fly a plane, a woman can drive a train, drive a car, drive a big lorry. She can do all of those things that a man can do. She has no objection, or no one can withhold any trade or any business that a man can do. A woman can equally do that. That is a given. So the equality is a given, that both are equal in that stature. But there is a role. A woman is in the role of a mother, obviously a wife first, a mother, a daughter, a sister. These are the roles of the woman. A man can be a father, he can be a brother, and he can be a guardian to somebody, a husband to a wife. So these are the roles given to a man. So each person, in whatever capacity they are in their outside life, public life, may that be business, may that be working for somebody in employment, they still have to adhere to the principles of what shall I say, principles of rulership amongst each other. In other words, they have to perform their roles. And here what we are instructed in the Torah, in the first book of Moses, is that Sarah performed this role eloquently, well, and so did Abraham. Because it talks about here that Abraham, he came for his wife, she had died, and he spoke to the sons of Heth. So he obviously mourned for his wife. Then he went out and he sought a land, a place for burial for his wife. And this is another custom of our people, that we have to have places of burials that are designated where we're going to bury our loved ones. And today, maybe most people today can go out and seek a land and then say allot certain places of that land for burial spots, or they can do something else, buy piece of land where they're going to bury the dead in a graveyard and hold that place as a place to bury. So this is another important principle that has to be done as part of your families, that you make arrangements for the dead as well, obviously prior to them dying. It's not good to, right at the time they die, then you say, oh, I need a place for them to bury. Now where do I go? So these are the pre-planned things that maybe you do 20, 30 years ahead of somebody who, obviously, ultimately, if the Messiah tarries, they're going to die. And so we have to make account for that. So that's the other thing that is espoused in this. And here we also see that the children of Heth, they have burial spots. These are Gentiles. These Gentiles have burial spots already in advance. They're in possession of lands. And so they were willing to sell a piece of land, and Abraham acquires a piece of land, and then he's able to put that to use for his wife. Obviously, he has to pay for it, and he pays mightily for it. And the people acknowledge that Abraham is a mighty man amongst them. He's a prince, he's a leader, he's a citizen of quality, and the people recognize that he's a nobleman, that he should be given land to bury his dead. And they say, yes, we definitely would want you to bury your dead. By all means, take this land and bury your dead. Before, they don't want to sell the land. First they want to give him the land. When Abraham insists that he has to pay for it. Now this is another important principle that I want you to learn, and that is payment. Abraham doesn't say, oh, thank you very much for the free land. He could have done that. He says, no, I want to pay for the land. Why? Because if he had taken the land free from these people, tomorrow, or maybe a month later, or a year, or 5 years later, there could arise a dispute, and the people could come back and say, this is our land, give it back to us. It doesn't belong to you, because you never made a payment. Where are your papers? Where are your deeds that you own this land? So it could have become a whole story against Abraham. So what Abraham does, he's a sensible, he was a sensible man, a wise man. He says, no, I must purchase the land and give me the deed of proof, so that I may know and my children may know that of course he purchased the land, and tomorrow there will be no mistake as to who is the owner of the land. This is why the principle in this is payment. So what does that mean? It means that, I often get letters, emails from people saying to me, can you please send me a free Bible? Can you please send me a free book, such and such book you've written, can you please send it free to me? I have done that numerous times in the past, where I have given free books, free Bibles. We even had a ministry recent of late, where we were sending in whole Bibles, Torahs, we were sending in Tanakhs, we were sending in even New Testaments into the prisons. Until recently we stopped doing that, because one of the principles that we see in the Torah is of payment. When you pay for something, you value it, and you get some reward from it because you paid for it. When you get something free, mostly, I say not all the time, mostly you may not value it, and you may not espouse it as good as when you have to pay for it. And when you pay for it, there is actually a direct blessing behind that. Like when you go buy a car from a garage, the garage doesn't give it to you free. The garage says, make X amount of payment and you can take the car. You can drive it away today. You say, yep, that's fine. I'll make the payment. I'll drive it away. But when it comes to the Bible, the same people say, oh, please give me a free Bible. So when you buy the car, you enjoy the car because you made payment for it. You are paying for it in installments. Now, the Bible doesn't require you to pay in installments. The Bible simply is one small cost, maybe $50, maybe $100, whatever the sale price is, and you purchase it. And that's the end of that. That book is now yours. Now, that book, because you paid for it, it brings in certain blessings that you can reap from that payment. Hence why it's important to pay for things and not ask for things free all the time, because free is not actually free. Somebody has to pay for it. So it might as well be that if somebody has gone to the effort of printing a piece of scripture, translating it, printing it, putting their time, energy, blood into it, then somebody else who wants to make use of it, they should pay for it. That is the only right thing to do. Hence why I highly encourage you next time to think that payment will bring in a blessing into your life as well. It's not just, hey, you're giving somebody money. When you get a book, when you buy something, you do get a return from that. Usually it's a good return. Usually you'll be happy about it. You say, hey, I made such and such payment. This is now mine, and I'm going to reap the benefit of that. Hence why it's important to make payment. So that is the principle in the scriptures of payment. And here we also see that after the burial of the dead, Abraham buries the dead. There's a lot of text here about how Abraham buries his wife and which cave he puts his wife in, the cave of Machpelah. And this is believed to be the same cave where Adam was buried and some of our other forefathers were buried in there as well. Of course, later down the road, Jacob, when he dies, he will also be buried in that cave, and so will be Isaac and other family of our people. So that's another interesting bit, that our families, they are buried in proper places. Because next in Genesis 24, it speaks about Abraham was old and well stricken in age, and Yudhevah and Yahweh had blessed Abraham in all things. Now, how did God bless Abraham in all things? Well, remember earlier I spoke about the art of payment. Make payment for everything that you do. That itself will bring in a blessing. Because why do I say that? Let me explain it from another principle. Money is energy. When you let go of money consciously and with happiness, you're not grunchy about it. You're not like Mr. Grinch holding on to it. No, I don't want to let go of my dollar. When you're not like that and you let go of your money happily to purchase something that you're going to get benefit from, then you will definitely get a benefit in return for that money that you have left, because you have left that, you have not just paid in paper. You might be thinking in your head, hey, this is paper, it's got, pictures printed on it, and so on and so forth, and a number that says how many dollar value this is, and all this is paper, come from a tree. But it's actually not paper, it's actually energy. And that energy that you let go will only come back to you in a circle when you let go of it happily. When you espouse no payment and you say, hey, give it to me free, I deserve this, or something to that effect. I like to have it free. Guess what? What energy of money did you expend? And the answer is nothing. You spent no energy. You simply just made a statement, I don't have the money. And listen to this statement. I don't have the money and I can't pay. These two statements are very damaging to your health. Why? Because you're using the concept of I am. I am is the name of God, which is mentioned in Exodus 3:14. That is directly the name of God. And you say, I am poor. You might say, I am poor. Guess what you're doing? You're bringing poverty into your life. You might say, I am unable to pay. Again, you're bringing poverty into your life. You're declaring, listen to this, you're declaring that you're poor. Now, when you say, I am rich, you may not be rich like Bill Gates. When you say, I am rich, you are bringing richness, wealth into your life. When you say, I can pay, I am able to pay, then you're bringing richness into your life as well. And when you let go of that energy, it goes full circle, it comes back to you. That's how the flow of energy, flow of money is. It's all energy, it's all energetic. And I think that most people have yet to grasp this concept of energy, because people tend to think that, what is this energy? Almost seems like an airy-fairy concept. I'm telling you, it is not an airy-fairy concept. It's a very serious concept, and it is a concept of energy. Everything is energy. We are energy as well. We are energy and we are frequency. Money is also energy, and money is also frequency. Money also has a frequency, just like your telephone, just like your radio station, your TV. They all have frequencies, so does money. So if you want to generate that frequency, full circle back to yourself, make sure that you make payment happily for something. Whatever item you buy, whether it's a car, whether it's a book, whether it's something else, make sure that you make a payment for it, and you will definitely reap the reward for that. Now, this brings me to the next concept, which I believe is in the book of John. If I may go there, it says as follows. In the book of John, somebody quoted me this, and obviously they were just quoting it from as just a normal scripture, their usual understanding. And it actually says in verse 13, John chapter 14, verse 13, this is now Yeshua of Nazareth speaking, Jesus of Nazareth. He says, and whatever you shall ask in my name, that I will do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. Then it follows on, if you love me, keep my commandments. Now, you see, you cannot separate these three items. You cannot say, well, I want to be a millionaire. I want to have $1 million. Yeah, you can definitely say that, and you can get your $1 million. But you cannot say, now I don't, want to keep the commandments, etc. You might actually be of the opinion that, well, these were given to the Jews, nothing to do with me. I'm not going to keep the commandments. But you see, the concept is linked. Why is it linked? Because it says that whatsoever you shall ask in my name. What does that mean, my name? You see, a lot of Christians will associate that with simply saying, well, you have to believe in Jesus, that Jesus will help you, that Jesus is in the Father and the Father is in Jesus. All total spiritual concept. They will make this mumbo-jumbo statement that actually has no intrinsic value, and they'll make you follow that statement almost spiritually with no practical physical significance. I was speaking to a Christian fellow yesterday, and I said to him, I said the following. I said that Christians believe that Jesus came and he saved them from their sins. I said, tell me, what sins did I commit? Me, myself, Simon Altaf. I said, what sins did I commit in my life that I need to go to Jesus for him to forgive me? Because I said, I'm part of the children of Israel, Bana Israel. So I said, are you telling me that I had to wait for Jesus to come into my life to save me from my sins? Or did God already give a covenant to Abraham, which was the covenant that had already qualified my rescue, my salvation thousands of years ago before even Jesus of Nazareth was born. I said, Jesus doesn't say nowhere that, hey, I come for the children of Israel to save their sins. So it's very important to understand that here in the book of John, it's the concept, as I said, was that Jesus, Yeshua, is speaking, and he's saying that whatsoever you shall ask in my name, that I will do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. Now, we know that what the Son of Man, or Yeshua here, is saying is not talking about some airy-fairy salvation issue, which most Christians will take. Is actually talking about your desires, your wants, your needs in this life. Your need may be for a house. Your need may be for a spouse. Or you may have other needs, whether it's money related or relationship related. That's what you're asking for. But where are you asking and how are you asking? This is actually talking about your awareness. It is talking about your presence. It is talking about you using the I am within you to receive those items that you desire. In other words, this is where we bring in the affirmations. This is why I said the Bible tells us, tell the weak to say, I am strong. The Bible doesn't say, tell the weak to say, I am weak. It says, tell the weak to say, I am strong. Why? Because when the weak says, I am strong, he is using the I am, the God within you concept. Because that is God's name, by the way. This is exactly what the scripture is saying. Whatsoever you shall ask in my name. What is that my name? It's I am. So hence why you use that to acquire your prosperity, your desire, whether it's a relationship that you'd like to acquire. You acquire it. We've spoken about it many times. And one of the things that our people and most people deal with is logic. Logic is the biggest block to any success. See, when you switch on your logic, it's naturally given. It's a defense system that God gives us so that we may not, do things that are wrong. Like, if logic basically says that if a bridge is broken, you go over a bridge and it's broke, that you stop your car or you stop walking before the breakage, so that you don't drop into the river or into a cliff. Basically, that's what logic says. See, that's where logic kicks in. But logic can also tell you, wrongly by the way, logic can tell you, do not get into a relationship. You may love somebody, and logic says, don't get into that relationship. Okay? Now what you're doing, you're using your logic, and you're saying, my logic is saying, don't get into that relationship. I'm not going to do this relationship. I'm going to break away from it. But actually, your logic is what killed the relationship, because that's a stumbling block. However, it may be that you may have a wonderful relationship with the person you just broke away from. See, why? Because your logic killed it. So be careful, because logic should not be used in every place to make a decision. That is the biggest stumbling block and biggest obstacle that you're going to get, which is called logic. So I said last time, kill the logic. When you use logic, you're always going to make mistakes, because logic's going to say, hey, don't do this. Hey, don't do that. That's an automatic system built in. We have to switch that automatic system off to bring in the presence of God and the awareness, and to activate it fully to make things happen for us. Let me give you a very simple example. One day, I was sitting at a place, not with my Aisha. I was sitting at a place, distance away from my Aisha, not even in her home. And I thought to myself, let me try this as an experiment. I am going to imagine that I'm drinking a nice 7-Up, a Sprite, Sprite drink. I'm drinking a nice Sprite, cool drink, and it's entering my mouth, and I'm enjoying it. So I just put that to effect. But I said, I'm going to kill the logic first. I killed my logic. Said, I'm not going to just believe, I'm not going to say, hey Simon, you're 1,000 miles away, or hey, you are, 2 hours away. Forget all of that. Time is an illusion. So I put time to one side, which is an illusion. I killed the logic. I said, everything is possible. So I then did a little scene in my mind, and I saw my scene in which I was drinking this cool, Sprite, looks like lemonade, of course. I was drinking this Sprite drink, and it was, tasted sweet to my mouth in my imagination. It was cool. It was, cold. And I was like, well, enjoyed that one. Now, all in the mouth, all in the imagination. And then, because I had killed my logic, I removed logic, did not use logic to say how far away I was and how long it will take me to get there, none of those things. And then what happened, it was exactly the same day. Later that day, I ended up in the Aisha's house. I was sitting over there, and guess what happens? The Aisha brings out a Sprite bottle, and she puts a glass of cold Sprite right in front of me and says, here you go, have this drink. And I looked at it and I thought, wow, isn't that amazing? I just saw this morning, me imagining it and thinking I'm drinking a cool glass of Sprite. So, see, that manifestation for me occurred the same day. That's how powerful this is. What I'm trying to teach you is when you kill your logic, and the logic, somebody asked me, is how long do we kill the logic for? Well, the logic has to be killed until your imagination comes to reality, into the external world. What is internal must come into the external. Once you kill your logic, you remove the block. That is your block. That is what prevents you from receiving what you desire. If you want to get a car and your logic says, let's say a woman is named Jane, and Jane wants to go buy a car. She wants to get a better car, maybe a new car, maybe a used model. And she says to herself, I want to get that, car, but that car costs $20,000. And she thinks to herself, now here logic comes in. Logic says, Jane says to herself, my salary is only $10,000. She might say, I'm only $10,000 or $20,000. By the time I pay my bills, by the time I've paid all my bills, I only have $100 left. How am I going to afford the car? You see, that's where logic kicks in. How am I going to afford the car? So she's considering the how. She doesn't realize, Jane doesn't realize, our hypothetical person, it doesn't realize that there is no room for logic. If you actually put it to full practice, kill your logic. Don't think, how am I going to pay? Think, you're going to get the whole amount, maybe, the whole $20,000 for the car, and you're going to pay the whole thing, and you're going to walk away with it, not even having to worry about make a payment. See, that's where logic has to be dead, in track. You have to remove that logic. If you do, then everything will work in your favor. So you only remove it till the time your car is at home. Once you see your car parked outside, you can switch your logic back on. Now you stop working with logic again. When you want to have the next manifestation, you kill your logic again and go with it. Now, I will come back to the name of God that I spoke about last time, but I will say this, that the name of God, I will speak about it because it's an important concept. So this is where logic is killed. What about in a relationship? Well, I was nearly 8,000 miles away. I could have been thinking like most people and saying, what am I doing trying to get an Aisha over here, 8,000 miles away, or 7,700 miles away from the US approximately. So I would have said, what am I doing 7,700 miles away, 7,700? And my logic could have said, Simon, you got a long flight. Are you going to get there? Is your plane going to land safely? Are you going to have any mishaps on the way? Are you going to have sufficient money to travel? These are all logic questions. And what I do, I kill the logic. I say, I'm actually here. I'm right present. I'm right present, sitting with the Aisha. I've got my Aisha. God has granted me the Aisha, and I'm going to have her as my wife, as my spouse. See, that is logic killed. Now, once I receive my spouse, then I can switch my logic back on until I need my next manifestation. So this is why it's important for you not to use logic to say, hey, I don't have holidays, I don't have the money, I don't have this, and I don't have that. You see, I can guarantee you, this is my guarantee, that most people who fail in their life and most people who are still single, they're only single because it is their logic that is killing their desires and their hopes of a wonderful life ahead for them, because they don't know how to kill their logic. Once you remove this block, then nothing can prevent you from success. You see, when you go to law of attraction teachers online, most of these law of attraction teachers, although they are good meaning teachers, but they are teaching you wrong teachings. It's who do you listen to? We always say, who do you listen to? Because it's who do you listen to is what will change your life. If you listen to the wrong person, your life will not change. You'll just be going from one person to the next and to the next and to the next. The cycle continues. It's like hopping churches. You go to one church, you're not happy with the pastor, then you go to the next church, and then the next, and then the following. So be very mindful of this kind of logic, because this is a big block. No meditation, no amount of, upside down on your head is going to change that. You're only going to change that once you kill your logic. That's when you open up the door to manifestation. And then your awareness will work best for you. This is when whenever you shall ask, whatever you shall ask in my name, that I will do, is when it comes to a fact. Using the name of God, the I am, then you will say, I am strong, I am mighty, I am rich, I am wealthy, I am a millionaire, I have an excellent business, I am an entrepreneur, or whatever of those affirmations you desire. You write them down, you write it, you script it out, and then do your little imagination, and you're well on your way once you kill your logic. Especially this is important in relationship matters, because a lot of people stumble in relationships because of this so-called logic block. Now you see, most of these people out there, you see, where I am right now in the East is full of this kind of spirituality and understanding that this so-called logic is a block, whereas the West is always stuck on logic. Science says this and science says that. But actually, science doesn't say nothing. Science is based on patterns. What science looks at is patterns and says, well, we've observed this thing and we saw this pattern 10 times. So we believe that such and such and such. That's science basically. But that's where your logic comes in as well. Logic is alive and kicking, but science will prevent you from achieving that success. So, all this talk about quantum physics, there's always a block of logic, even with quantum physics, because, there will sometimes you hear the term, don't ask for outrageous things and, don't be outrageous. Ask for things that you can, meaningful things that you can have. Actually, I say the opposite. Don't be like the crowd. Ask for outrageous things. Don't be just within a limit. Don't say, I wish I could have a car, or don't say, I wish I could have a second-hand car. Ask for a brand new car. Ask for the outrageous. Ask for a brand new unused car. And so that's the outrageous instead of a used car. You might say, hey, I might be happy in a one-bedroom flat. No, ask for a 3-bedroom house. Ask for the outrageous. Ask for a 4-bedroom house. Be outrageous. But it's better to be outrageous and remove the logic, kill it altogether. And if you want to have a happy life with your wife, with your Aisha, then ask for a good wife, a humble wife, a loving wife that you can love as well in return, but remove logic. Because logic says, hey, I've got to find my wife such and such state, I've got to go such and such city. Now remove that logic. Open up your sphere and say, my wife can come from anywhere in the world. I'm ready for it. And then God will make a way for you to receive that wife, because now you put the belief into action. That is where your mind, the God within you, will start to work for you. So also, when you've been shown, if you desire to have a wife, when you've been shown something, the only reason that you're shown something is that may be the right, that likely is the right thing for you. And so hence why somebody comes to a point and says, hey, I met this person, I believe that this person is suitable for you. You should pay heed to that action, because that is where your life will be. Now, you may find a wonderful, beautiful, loving woman in America. That is great, absolutely wonderful. If you do, or a husband for that matter, that's great. But you may also be in a situation where, like Rabbi Kefa, you may have to go to somewhere outside of America, may that be east or some other destination, where you may find a wife, because some people go to England and marry a British wife. Some people go to France to marry a French wife. I mean, one of my students is French, and she married an American. I mean, she came over from France to America to marry her husband. So that too can happen. You see, this is where logic has to be killed. When your logic is killed, you have no longer a logic boundary. You see, logic boundary dictates that, like maybe when Rabbi Kefa's family lived in Louisiana, the logic boundary dictated, hey, I can never leave Louisiana. So that's the logic boundary. But when you remove that boundary and you say, no, I can go anywhere and work anywhere, then the logic is dead. Kill the logic. That's why I taught kill the logic. Coming back to the name, I taught last week that the creation was with the Hebrew letters, the 22 letters of Hebrew that we have, but the Hebrew letters have sound. That's another very important thing. Sound is absolute must. Without sound, there was no creation. So each letter makes a sound. Now I gave you the sound of the name of Yah, from Yahweh. The first two letters, Yud, and the Yod and the He, they form the word Yah. Now we speak it Yah, Yah, and so forth. Now, what I want you to do is record that with your own voice. The word Yod and He, Yah, like so. When you record it so that it at least runs for a minute, and then you can loop it, and then what you want to do is the next part of that equation. What is the next part? The next part of the equation is that you may desire to have a car. Let's just say that your desire is to have a car. So you put the Yah into a recording, and then you record your affirmation, I am the owner. You might say such as, I am grateful that I am the happy owner of such and such car. Now put your affirmation down, record it. Now blend the two. Blend the word Yah and blend the recording. So you'll have two parallel streams. One will be Yah and one will be the car. Now what you do, you now close your eyes and you imagine your car, and you let the Yah kind of cover the whole car bit. So it should be like you're covering something with rainwater or with water, like you're washing a car. Imagine the word of God, Yah, is water. Imagine it's water, and it's covering the whole car as you speak it. As you're saying, Yah, it's covering the car. You're imagining it. You're imagining the car, and the word Yah is speaking behind you. And what you're getting is a coverage of the car entirety in the sound. That sound is, by the way, creative. The sound is creative, very powerful primordial sound. Because it's creative, there are two ways to use it. Number one, as I just described, using two streams parallel, and one you can lower the voice a little bit so the Yah is not so loud in your ear, and the other one you can leave at normal voice. You can speak your affirmation in normal voice, which is like you can say, I am grateful that I'm the owner or the happy owner of a such and such car. Then underneath the first affirmation, the first sound will be the Yah sound. So the Yah sound is going in the background, and the foreground is the affirmation sound. Now you can lower the sound of Yah, but it's still there. Your brain is still acknowledging that creative sound. That's where the creation comes in. So you want to record your affirmations behind the Yah sound. That's the second part of the equation that I didn't teach you last week. So these sounds, by the way, are creative sounds. They create. And when you kill your logic and when you remove the illusion of time, you're now going to be manifesting your desire a lot faster than otherwise. Now, of course, meditation is great. You get up in the morning at whatever time that you're able to. You may not be able to get up at 5. If you get up at 6 or 7, you get up in the morning and you do your meditation. That's great. It's great to have your day in meditation. Now, meditation does not guarantee success in delivery of manifestation. Let me repeat that again. Meditation does not promise the success to your affirmation. The only way you can be promised the success to your affirmation is through the principles I taught you: belief and do. So these belief and do principles are applied using the word I am. See, those words are powerful because they have the name of God and they tally with our scripture as well. So you want to keep that in mind, that you use those principles in such a way. Even if you have a broken relationship or a bad relationship with a spouse, with a mother and father, even some other person, brother, sister, friend, you can repair those relationships using the absolute same methods. Absolute same method can be applied to a broken relationship. You might say, I love this girl and she left me, but I desire her back in my life. Then yeah, there's something you can do. So again, finding a spouse, whether you find the spouse in America or elsewhere, sometimes, you see, not sometimes, most times you have to kill your logic and you have to open up your horizon to allow yourself to travel anywhere where your spouse may be. So that's an important element. So hence why I always teach these principles, because these principles have life in them. And these principles are espoused in the Bible. And they are all over Scripture in different terms. In the Torah, we are told by God that wherever your foot travels, you can claim that place and it will be yours. So, what does it actually mean? You see, here it's important to understand that what do we mean by that? Wherever my foot travels, that place can become mine. See, that I have to put that into layman terms. Because if I put it into layman terms, it will be easier to understand. So, let me see if I can give you something that of value today. And from the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 3. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread on, that have I given to you, as I said to Moses. God didn't say, I will give it to you. God said, I've already given it to you. You need to make a claim on it. You need to put your feet on it. And you might say, hey, but my feet are in America, or in England, or in France, in Paris somewhere. How am I going to put my feet in something that is thousands of miles away? Well, guess what? It's not speaking about literal feet. It's speaking about your awareness, your imagination. Wherever your imagination goes and whatever you claim, that can be yours. It might be a spouse. It might be a vehicle. It might be a piece of property. You can claim it. You can receive it because you use your imagination to get to the end. What is imagination? See the end. See yourself in the end. That is believing and receiving it. So it's like this. If you want to see yourself driving a new car, then the end of that is this way, is first you kill your logic, because your logic might say, I don't have enough money. Remove the logic. Remove the time factor. How quickly? Because you might say, well, it might take me a year to save up money. That's time. Kill the time as well. Remove time. It's a stumbling block, and it's a illusion, because God lives in eternity. God doesn't live inside time. But if God is within us, God is working on eternity basis. Remember that. God does not work on time. He works on eternity basis. So because of that, you're going to see yourself in your imagination, you're going to see yourself driving that car past the garage. In other words, maybe 2, 3, 4 months, year into the life of the car, you see yourself driving the car, and maybe you see your neighbor is congratulating you for your car. Your car is parked on a drive, the neighbor comes out, she congratulates you, she or he congratulates you, you receive the congratulations. That is seeing past the event. That is almost saying wherever your feet tread. That's your awareness, by the way. Wherever your awareness goes, you have the right to claim it. Also, one more thing I wanted to mention in here, in verse 8, it says this. Remember, I spoke in the book of John that it also said, "Keep my commandments," because it was God speaking in God's terms. So it wasn't some airy-fairy concept. The book of Joshua in chapter 1 verse 8 says, "This book of the law," Torah basically, "shall not depart out of your mouth, but you shall meditate therein day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written therein, for then you shall make your way prosperous." See what I told you earlier? Prosperity is not separated from the Torah. It's two and one together. The two are together and must always be treated together. Now, you might say, "Hey, I'm not going to give any tithes. I'm just going to be rich and I'm going to spend the money on myself." When you have that kind of thinking, you will never become rich, because now you're trying to hoard wealth. You see, hoarding wealth is forbidden in the Torah. You can be prosperous, you can have a great business, and you can make millions and billions of dollars. But you're not supposed to hoard wealth. Hoard wealth is when you say, "I only want it for myself. I don't want to give it to nobody else." See, part and parcel of our commandments is you tithe, you give zadaqah, charitable offering. You may even go outside and give some money to the poor people standing in the street. Somebody begging on the street, you may give $1 to or $5 to. That is all good. There's actually nothing wrong with that, and you can do that. But remember, tithing 10% is part and parcel of the Torah. You must do it. It's not a if and but and maybe. You must do it, because remember what I said about money earlier. Payment must be done in happiness. When you give money out, the 10%, you're giving energy out, 10%. Of your earned money, hard-earned money, you're giving 10% out, and it's going to come back full circle, but it's going to multiply as it goes around full circle. It's going to multiply and come back to you. That's why the concept of tithing was introduced in the scriptures. It's a very important concept. So, "For then you shall make your way prosperous, and then you shall have good success." You see what I mean? The book of the law shall not depart out of your mouth. Well, if you're going to throw the Torah away, are you going to say, "Hey, I don't need to keep Sabbath any longer. I'm just going to be rich. I'm not going to have the commandments. I'm not going to keep the laws of permissible and non-permissible meat. I'm just going to eat anything I want. I eat snakes, I'll eat rats, I'll eat anything I want. I'll eat shrimp, all the shrimps I want in the world." You see, you can take that view. Sure, you have the choice to take that view. But that view may kill you. That view may kill your success. And that view may destroy your prosperity. So be very mindful of what I'm teaching you here. It is not a joke, and it is very serious, and I want you to consider my words as the Kohen in the gate. I am telling you, for your prosperity, for your success. I want you to be successful. I want you to be prosperous. Know this. Because when you are prosperous and successful, you will bring glory to God. You may be able to help a widow. You may be able to help a poor person who is struggling. But that can only happen with money. It's not going to happen with just talk. Money will be able to do that. But if you don't have money, how are you going to help that poor person? How are you going to help that widow? How are you going to help that orphan? Hence why it is very important to remember always that is what brings glory to God. Glory to God is brought when somebody shows kindness to somebody else, and the person who's been shown kindness to says, "Hey, there is a God up there who loves me. Because if God didn't exist, I would not be shown this kindness today." This is why the concept of money is energy. And I want you always to remember that, is that do not depart from the Torah. The Torah is going to be king, It is king. It always will be king in your life. So with that in mind, I'm going to leave you today to ponder over these things and put them to good effect. So with this, I'll pass over to Rabbi Kefa. I'm your host, Rabbi Simon Altaf HaKohen, in the gate. Baruch Hashem Yahweh, have a great week ahead and a great Shabbat. Shalom, shalom.
Stuff here. Shabbat Shalom. Mishpaha again to God Rabbi HaKohen for your great instruction, your great lecture, and great understanding going forward that is needed for us to continue to have prosperous and successful and happy and full and complete lives and peaceful lives. I know everybody in this room and everyone listening to MP3, this is what you desire. You're listening via YouTube, you're like, I want a peaceful life, Rabbi. I want a happy life. I want a life of love. I want a life of peace and joy and just, complete happiness. Baruch Hashem. So, back to the Jeff Bezos situation. Now, if Jeff Bezos would come to you, let me just, and I'm not trying to pick on anybody. Eddie's, I don't mind. I hope you don't mind if I use you. Jeff Bezos comes to Eddie and says, Eddie, Eddie's, I tell you what, I'm going to change the name of Amazon and honor, and because you work so hard, you've been such a great friend to me, and you've been so loyal to me. I'm going to change the name of Amazon, this great business. I'm going to put your name. I'm going to take Amazon's name away, and I'm going to call it Eddie's. Eddie's 10. That's going to be the new name in honor for you. Now, what a great, wouldn't that be great? Wow, that's great. Wouldn't that be great, right? So it's on the same concept. This is what I want you all to think about that. Eddie's online market. There you go, luxury glass. So I want you to all think about that for a minute as we study and we go through our parsha every year. We go through our parsha every year. I want you all to consider, the titles. I mean, the titles of these parshas and the sections in each of our books, in our Hebrew books, in the laws of Moses that we must, continue to understand as we continue to understand. And that brings me to my quotes of the day, by the way. I don't want to skip my quotes of the day because I think these quotes are powerful. The first one is in honor and respect to my friend Eddie's, my brother Eddie my brother Oliver over there in France. Oliver, you may get this quote, and I'm giving you a little insight and I guess a clue, you would say. Listen to this quote. I think this quote is paramount. It's very, very important that you do understand. For understanding's sake, if you want a thing done well, do it yourself. If you want a thing, how many of you want some things or a thing done well? Do it yourself. Think about that for a minute. If you want a thing done well, do it yourself. Isn't that a profound statement? Now think about that statement, and I want you to dig deep. I want you to dig deep as you heard this statement, this quote, by a very, very successful person that we've all studied. Everybody in this room has studied him at one time or another in your life. I'm going to read it again. If you want a thing done well, how many of you want things done well? Now, that's an important question to ask because a lot of people don't want things done well. They'd rather have things done crooked, discombobulated, in confusion, and just causing all kind of chaos and like our president says, just a disaster. Some people, they strive on, they get energy from disastrous type situations, all that negative side. But we're not concerned with that because that's not the side that we reside on. We pitch our tents on the side of peace, love, joy, and happiness, complete success and complete prosperity. That's our remit, Mishpaha. I want you all to understand that. That's your default settings, Baruch Hashem. And Baruch Hashem, we continue to grow and come back to where? We're not going out, we're coming back to, and that's why I want you to pay very close attention to this quote. Listen to what it says. If you want something done well, let me tell you, I go to the steakhouse, I even want my steaks done well. You know how they ask you? I mean, we go to the steakhouse and they say, well, how would you like your steak, sir? I said, I want my steak well done. You know what I'm talking about? I like my steak well done. And believe me, we eat a lot of steak here in Texas. We eat a lot of steak here in Texas. I want my steak well done. Some say, oh, medium rare. Some say rare. No. I'm from the tribe of Jacob. I want my food cooked. Cooked. I'm not eating primitive, and I'm not knocking you and all those out there that like to do that kind of thing. But listen, you know, I wasn't raised during the caveman time. Shabbat shalom to you, Ursula. Good to see you again from sunny California. But I want my food cooked well done. Well done. I want it cooked. I don't want it half baked. I want it cooked well done. Everything that I do in my life, I want to do it well. Even the Master Yeshua says, you know, when you stand, what's going to be the report? Is it going to be, well done, thou good and faithful servant? So even at that, you want a well report. How many of you want a wellness report? A well report this day. It's important. It's important that you have that mindset of well. Because the world's coming at you like, oh man, they woke, but they woke sick. Oh, I'm depressed. Oh, I won't, and I will not. You need to come with the opposite. I'm doing everything well. How's your life? Well. How you doing? I'm well. How you feeling? I'm well. You see, they ask all these questions to try to, you know, bring you to the dark side, to that negative side. Oh, yeah, come over here and join our pity party. Come over here and sing Kumbaya with us because you're in our same boat. He said something very important in his lecture. Man, my wife made this tea. It's totally awesome. Thank you. Excuse me, Ms. Rahab. But we need to do things well. Well needs to be our wheelhouse. Well. Now, going back to this quote. If you want a thing done well, do it yourself. What does that mean to you, Mishpahah? Can anybody tell me, in your opinion, and don't be shy here, with family, but what does that mean to you? If you want something done well, if you want a thing done well, how many of you right now, you have a thing that you want done right now? How many of you right now will say, Rabbi, I have this thing that I want done, and I want it done well right now? Anybody? Put up a capital W if that's you. You say, yeah, I have this situation, I have this experience in my life right now, and I want it done well. Matter of fact, I want to go beyond well, but I want it done well. I want it done to my expectations, to what I desire for myself. I want it done well. You see? Eddie says, if you want success or something good, you have to do it yourself. It won't be done for you for free. Oh, indeed, Eddie's. And that's kind of piggybacking on what Hakohi was saying in his lecture, right? Listen, I'm telling you, I know that Israel is the crown of what we consider, when we talk about Israel, the country, we consider the continent of Africa. Israel's like the crown. You all can go look at a map and you'll see it for yourself. But I'm going to tell you, thank God that Israel's like the head up there, the crown. Because the rest of Africa, the majority, I'll tell you, the Africa that I've seen and that I walked on with the soles of my feet, they have a mentality of want everything free. Oh, yeah, for free, what can you, Jim, gimme, because my name is Jimmy. If your name is Jimmy, no offense. But gimme, just gimme, can you give me? Well, what are you going to give? What are you going to put into the game? If you want a thing done well, do it yourself. DIY, huh? DIY. Do it yourself. What is that quote actually telling you from this very famous person who was, I would say, mind you, very successful? Very, very successful. Once I give you his name, you're going to be like, oh yeah, you're right, Rabbi. He was very, very successful. But do it yourself. What is that telling you to do? I'm going to give you some examples. Anybody else want to give some examples of what does that mean to you when it's quote, if you want something, if you want a thing done well, do it yourself. You know what that quote is making you do? And from what I see, as I dig deeper, it's making you look at yourself. Self. What is self? Yourself. That's your subconscious, isn't it? Self comes within. You see, too many times, and I've seen it. I know Luxury Class, you're a businessman. And I know several other people in here, you got a business mindset. Businessman, businesswoman mindset. I tell you, when Wall Street crashed, you had a lot of people jumping out of buildings. Or you had a lot of other people pointing the finger at everybody else. For the reason why they lost all their money. Am I correct? Everybody's playing the blame game. Oh, you lost my money. Oh, I gave you my money and I trusted you. Now my money's gone and I'm broke and I'm busted and I'm disgusted. Or you may take that and use that excuse in any other thing. Oh, you're the reason why my car not running good. You're the one that caused this accident. You ran that red light, blah, 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 blah. Quick to pass the buck. But again, let's go back to this quote for a minute. I want you to understand this. If you want a thing done well, do it yourself. What does that mean to you, Mishpah? Let me tell you what it means to me. Listen, if I want to make a lot of money, I can't depend on nobody else. I have to either study, learn, get a mentor, or do whatever I need to do so that I can learn to do it myself and not depend on somebody else to have control over what and responsibility over what is literally mine. You understand what I'm saying? So if I want to make a lot of money in the stock market, what do I need to do? I need to study the stock market for myself. Not that I cannot have a mentor. If I want to really understand the Bible, what do I need to do? I need to study the Bible for myself. But it's not like that. I can't have a mentor and a Kohen, a teacher to teach me how to properly study the Bible so I can do it myself. You get where I'm going? Think about this for a minute. The onus needs to be on you, self, subconscious. That's where everything begins and it ends. It doesn't begin and end when you point the finger at everybody else outside of you. Stop it if you're doing that. Because you're totally wrong and you misunderstand life. Because your life begins within you. But every time, and again, relationship is our big thing that we're talking about right now. This is where our books is taking us into a relationship. Beginning relationship, ending relationship, relationship is the foundation of life in itself. Because everybody in this room, you're in some form of relationship. Some form of relationship. Whether you believe it or not, you are. Now, how you deal with that relationship, here's what's important. Is that you must start within yourself. It must come from self, from within. You see? Do it yourself. Get the education, get the training, get the mentor, learn, become that awesome student, become the forever student, and you will be the greatest master. Because you are a forever student. You're always willing to learn. How many of you like that? You have that mentality where you're a sponge. You can soak up and learn anything from anybody, any people, plant, or pet. You can learn something from them. And you're more than willing to humble yourself and have that great characteristic of meekness to where you have the capacity to learn. And you put logic in its place. You kill logic so that you can learn. You can learn more about life, learn more about yourself, learn more about how you what you want and what you desire for yourself. Not running around here saying, well, God, what do you want me to do? God is saying, well, what do you want to do? Think about it for me. I mean, that's what it is. What do you want to do? What makes you happy? What gives you joy? We've been given by the Creator the great ability to create and to manifest, but what are we doing with it? Most people are not using it. Why? It's because they don't have the proper formula or they have pieces to the puzzle. only pieces. Christianity is big on teaching you about prosperity, but that's only a piece to it. You know what they're missing? They're missing the priesthood. But they'll give you prosperity. And so this is why a lot of people in Christianity, they never find, their whole life, they never find prosperity. Yet it's been preached up and down on Sunday church and Wednesday night Bible study, prosperity. But they never taught about Moses and the Bible. One man came through, I don't know if you saw him earlier, he's not here anymore, but he said something, he had the name of Moses in his name. And he was like, well, when in doubt, run to the New Testament. But this man, I was thinking, wait a minute. No, when in doubt, you need to go back to what Moses said. Because that's what the New Testament said. Let's go back, and what does the laws of Moses say? Moses, he had Moses in his name. I don't know, did anybody see it? He made some comment earlier about something. Blah, blah. He's like, oh, well, how do I know what I'm doing is what's right? Well, here's how you know. And I wish he was here so he can listen to this. Because here's how you know if you're doing what's right. The evidence will be in a physical manifestation and presentation. You know if you're on the right track, if the track that you're following is getting you what you want and what you desire and what you dream of and what you imagine for yourself. If you are successful because you imagine yourself successful, then you're on the right track. Do you get it? You see, because it's not going to be this airy-fairy thing that you just keep imagining. Christianity tell you, oh, you just imagine heaven, how it's going to be and how the rapture is going to happen. No, it's not the by and by. It's what's now, what's present. Examine your life present, and if it's how you want it to be right now, then you're successful. Then it's working. Then keep the wheels spinning because whatever you're doing is working. But if it's not working, how many of you have been there and you come to the realization that what you were doing just wasn't working? And you were like, so you realized that you had to change. Put up a capital C if that was you at one time. I'm telling you, that was me. I was trying to change and do some more changing. And I was like, I need to change. And I was going to keep changing until I could stop changing because it was working for me. For myself. Are you starting to understand how powerful that quote is? It truly is powerful. Do it yourself. Don't base your life on what other people think or commentary from some other person. What's your comment? What does yourself think? That's the most important commentary out there in the world. Is what do you think and what do you desire at the end of the day for yourself? You see what I mean? That's what's important. Let's keep going because I have another quote too. If you want a thing done well, do it yourself. You know who said that? Napoleon Bonaparte. There you go, Oliver. Vive la France. Now, how many of you know who Napoleon? How many of you studied Napoleon Bonaparte sometime or another in your life? I don't know here in America we have because we were taught about it in school. In the Louisiana Purchase. If you studied the Louisiana Purchase, you studied Napoleon Bonaparte. And by the way, not in debt. No, we didn't do it in debt here. Yeah, he was a what? He was a what? He was, I would call him an emperor. He was a ruler of many. And he ruled many lands. And he was the master real estate agent. Boy, he knew how to conquer some land, didn't he? And matter of fact, to even bring it closer to home, my descendants here in North America have his bloodline running through it. The French bloodline. Because I tell you, my grandmother, you know, she looked like a Caucasian woman. Short as she was, straight hair, and she only spoke French, Creole French. That's all she spoke. So I know that there was an intermingling, and guess where she was from? Louisiana. So I'm telling you, you see, Oliver said, mine too, repeat. We're cousins. Yeah, indeed we're cousins. We're brothers, Lucas, yeah. But, yeah, so I'm telling you, the influence, you know, so again, this is you know, Napoleon Bonaparte, he plays a role in my family history and genealogy, for sure. Because the French went down there in Louisiana and mingled with them beautiful women down there, with that brown skin, down there in Louisiana, meaning them slaves. The lesser than a cow mentality that they had at that time. So there was a lot of intermingling. And so, all her sons, my father being one of them, my grandmother's sons, all 12 of them, not 12 sons, but all of her 12 children, they all understand and speak some Creole French. They call it Creole. My father speaks it, and he understands it as well. But that was never passed on to me. But I remember living with my grandmother, and I tell you, that's all she talked was French. The Creole. I'm like, what the heck she's saying? But yeah, some language doesn't need to be spoken. You can just get the look, or you know exactly what they're saying, and you go do it. You go execute to the best of your ability, because you don't want to be, being chased by a switch or a branch from a tree somewhere. And I just kind of picked up a lot of things by osmosis, and the switch from the tree. So that's what it was for me. So Napoleon Bonaparte, emperor, ruler, military man, conqueror, he said this: if you want a thing done well, do it yourself. Now, this next quote, this is quite relevant to where we're going here in our lecture today, as we look at RSAHK. One of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood. Wow! Friendship, that's a relation, isn't it? If I ask you today, who is your best friend? What would you say? And don't give me no by person. I want you to give me a blood walking person with heart beating right now. If I ask you right now, who is your best friend? What would you say? What would you say? I'd like some response, please. You may need to take a minute on this. And I want to pressure some of y'all. So if you don't want to put that thing that somebody else is going to see, you don't want to offend somebody, then so be it. But, I'd like some response. What's your opinion? Who's your best friend? Listen to this quote again. One of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood. Wow. Listen to that. Is to understand the true qualities of friendship. Is to understand and be understood. I tell you right now, my wife is my best friend. My wife, Mishpahar, is my best friend. My wife, my Aisha, she's my best friend. Because you know what? I want her to understand me, and that's why I want us to have a great relationship. And this is so important, because how many of you right now are in a relationship at some kind of level? Put up an R if that's you. You're like, Rabbi, I'm in a relationship at some level. It may not be with a significant other. Maybe it's a business relationship. Maybe you have a friend relationship. Maybe you have I guarantee you, all of you should be putting up R's because you're in some kind of relationship. You have some kind of relationship. Now, were we put in these nations to be friends or enemies? Answer me that question. Please, you got to help me out here. Were we put on this earth, was Israel dispersed in the nations to be an enemy or to be a friend? Think about that for a minute. Some of you may need to think about it for a minute. Were we put in these nations, in your city, in your town, in your country, in your state? Were you put there to make enemies or to make friends? When you look at the Master, Yeshua, Jesus of Nazareth, did he go around trying to make enemies? Or did he go around trying to make friends? Nowhere he went where he tried to make enemies, but people didn't like him, so they considered him an enemy. Because either they didn't believe it, think the way he thought, or blah, blah, blah. And you all run into the same situations, right? You run into people that you can try to befriend them, but they're going to just have hatred and be an angry bird towards you until they take their last breath, because they just don't like what you stand for. They don't like how curly your hair is. They don't like how straight your hair is. They don't like that you wear locks. They don't like the skin tone of the color of your hair, the color of your skin, or what color clothes you wear. I mean, whatever. We can go down the laundry list. But at the end of the day, my best friend is my wife, my Aisha, my best friend. And, more than anything, I want her to understand me. How many of you know what? I want her to truly understand the me, the me. The me. I don't put on no shows. I want her to understand me. This is why this is such a great quote. I want her to understand me just as well as I want to understand her. You see? And this is why I gave you the example last Shabbat. Hey, I have central heating in my 2-story house here. But again, I haven't turned it on. I haven't turned on the central heating. It's because my wife, I want to understand her. She's not used to having that central heating. She used to wearing layers of clothes inside the house because that's what they do in China. That's what they do. They don't have central heating piped in through every room. They don't have that, Mishpah. So again, do you understand how I'm understanding my wife? I'm like, okay, well, then we don't have to turn it on. We just get little space heaters and we're fine. We're totally fine. We get our little space heaters. We put them in the room because I'm understanding my wife. Do you all get the example? I want you all to understand that this is important. The reason why most relationships, how many of you agree with the majority of relationships fail is because of understanding? Am I right or wrong? The majority of relationships fail. They fail, they crash and burn is because of lack of understanding. I can guarantee you. So every family of Jacob, you must be people that understand. Okay? If you want your relationships to be superior, to be second to none, then you must be willing to understand other people. This is why Christians, I love them. Catholics, I love Muslims, I love all of y'all. Because I'm trying to understand you, just like you're trying to understand me. And we can respectfully disagree by trying to understand one another. Do you get it? But a lot of times we don't. This is how you build and establish friendships. But a lot of times we don't get that far. We don't get that far because we're too busy trying to. We put up walls, and we judge other people. So then it starts to build walls. Oh, you do this. Oh, you eat pork. You go to hell. Blah blah blah. What is that doing? Is that building a friendship? Actually, you're making enemies. You're building up that wall that I was just talking about. You don't want to do that. You are students of nature. Students of human nature. Just as you are students of the Torah. Because what is the Torah? The Torah is life. And Hakoim is absolutely right. Torah is going to always be king in my life. We're just getting additions to the Torah. We're getting additions to where, oh wow, Torah is being opened up to us in such a way to where it's living. And Torah is life to me. It's a lifestyle. And the people that I deal with on this earth, they are living their life as well, aren't they? Creations of our Creator. So why not? Should I not be trying to establish a relationship with plant people and pets? You should be trying to do that. Plant people and pets. Rocks too included. Mother Earth. You see where we're going? So this quote, it's profound. One of the most beautiful qualities of a true friendship is to understand and to be understood. You know who said this one? Seneca the Younger, Roman philosopher. Keep it in Europe. We're going to keep it in Europe today with our quotes. Beautiful quote. Seneca the Younger, Roman philosopher. One of the most beautiful qualities of a true relationship, of a true friendship, of a true relationship, is to understand and to be understood. Isn't that beautiful, Mishpah? You take that and run with it. I'm telling you. That's going to help you establish that business that you want. That whatever kind of relationship you're trying to get into. Just friends. You see, because people should be attracted to you. You are light. Then understand people. And make sure you're understood. And it doesn't have to be an oppressing way. But it can be a nice, gentle, subtle way where you're understood. Hey, I respect you, what you're doing. But this is my belief, and this is how I live my life. I ain't even going to talk about beliefs. This is how I live my life. And thank you for respecting on how I live my life, because I truly respect how you live your life. Boy, the world will sure be in a better place now, right? Instead of forcing our will upon another. How many of you at one time or another was an enforcer, where you would try to enforce your will upon somebody else? Anybody in this room used to be like that? You can say, Rabbi, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Maybe you tried to do that to your ex-spouse, who's your ex now. You're an enforcer, where you have to enforce your will upon somebody else. You see? Luxury class says to a point. Yeah. And I am pretty sure we all did it to a point. You may chalk it up as, oh, man, I was a little bit zealous, or you know, a little bit religious fanatic at one time or another, blah blah blah. Luxury class saying, in his case, it only worked 40% of the time. Why? It's because in a relationship you have to go 50-50. You see, you have to bring 50% to the table. That means understand. That's your 50% to the table. And then the other 50% is what? To be able to understand. But the other 50% is what? To be understood. You see? That's the 50-50 right there. That's when the two come together, and they're no longer two, but they're one. Wow. Because you all can meet in the middle. That's true relationship. That's the beauty of a true relationship, is that you meet somewhere in the middle. And you both win. Because everybody you get in a relationship, well, somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. That's false. How many of you know in a relationship both can win? The two sides can win. You see, this is what we see. You want me to bring this to modern times? This is what we see in this quote-unquote so-called trade war with China. You know, both sides want to get to a point to where they both can say that they won. Nobody wants to be a loser. And believe me, that's real. That can happen. But when you come with the mindset of logic that says, well, in this situation, so-called war, somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. No, that's not the case. That is totally not the case. Both sides can win. But you have to be able to meet somewhere in the middle. And you have to be understood. And this is the point I want to get to as we deal with Sarah, because I think this is so valuable and so important that we look at this. Number one, you have to be understood. Number two, you have to be willing to understand. You must be willing to understand other people. You must be willing to understand that spouse. You must be willing to understand your children. You must be willing to understand the boss. You must be willing to understand mama and daddy. But at the same time, you can be understood. Don't try to force and be the enforcer. The enforcer of the laws of Moses. That's not your place, to be the enforcer. But you should understand people, and then you should be willing they should be willing to understand you. Be willing to be understood and be willing to understand. That's beautiful. You see, because when we look at High Sarah, this parsha, in our history, this is so very important and pertinent to, I tell you, that quote is so pertinent. And this is why I named this title of this parsha. You see, being understood and understanding has nothing to do with emotions. You have to put emotions to the side for a minute here. Emotions are great tools that have been given to us by the Creator, but they have their place. I want you all to understand that. They have their place. They have their place. So this is why I named the title of this lecture here, More Than a Woman. How many of you men in this room want more than a woman? Yajan, is no worries. You don't have to be sorry that you're late, because you're not late. You're always early. Yajan. Don't say I am late. Say I am early. Baruch Hashem. You're never late. You see, because we have no concept of time. Luxury class say, I want more than a woman. How many of you in this room want more than a woman? And for you women in the room, how many of you want more than a man? Baruch Hashem. I don't mean number-wise. I mean, like, listen. every woman in this room, and this lecture is for you women because I love women. Every woman in this room, because I come from a woman. Every woman in this room is a woman. But I had a wise man tell me this one time, and you men can use this, and this is beautiful. Women would love to hear this. You see, there's a difference between a woman and a lady. How many of you believe that? Women, you can answer to this one. There's a difference between a woman and a lady. A big difference. That's like a gulf. There's a difference. Listen to what I'm saying, men, because you got to get this. There's a difference between a woman and a lady. That's why I named this title of this lecture, More Than a Woman. You see, because Sarah was more than a woman. Get where I'm going now? I'm not talking about number of women, because most of the men in this room can't handle one woman, much less 10 or 2 or 3. So let's put that to the side. Put that to the side. But your first, you know what you want to say? You know what you want to say? In your relationship affirmations is that you want more than a woman. You want more than that. You desire more than that. You desire more than that. You see, because more than a woman will be that woman and some. And all of you desire the and some. You should. Don't just settle for a woman. You want more than a woman. Abraham and Sarah had more than a woman. How many of you agree with me? This is why Sarah was given the title of this parsha in this section. More than a woman. Hi, Sarah. You all need to understand that so that women can be understood. Because there's a difference between a woman and a lady. A wise man told me that. And he said, you need to seek the ladyship. Go in search of that lady. Leave that woman alone. No disrespect to women. Because some women's makeup, or their makeup is to be more than a woman. Wow. And every man should be in pursuit of that more than a woman. I saw Rabbi Benia, this goes out to you. I love the pictures that you sent in. Rabbi Benia is newly married, newlywed, Baruch Hashem. He sent pictures in. Him and his lovely wife. He showed me pictures. I was so happy for him. And I looked at that picture. First thing that came to mind, wow, this woman is more than a woman. Because I'm telling you, it makes, I tell you, I've seen Rabbi Benia's smile was coming from, I've never seen such a big smile in my life. Super happy, super complete, more than a woman. You see where we going with this now, Mishpachah? And it's so very important that you do understand. So what are these more than a woman qualities? You see? What are the attributes of a more than a woman? Any women in the room, can you give me an example of what separates a woman from a lady? Can you give me an example? Can any women in the room give me an example? Because I'm a man. I can go from perspective, but I can't say I didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn last night, and I was born a man, and I'm super happy that I was born a man. There's nothing against women, but for the women in the room, you may need to think about that for a minute. But what separates a woman from a lady? What's the difference? And what is this more than a woman trait? What is it? What does that mean? To be more than a woman. Jan says, repeat the question, please. What's the difference between a woman and a lady, in your opinion? And it's just your opinion, by the way. So there's no wrong answers. But what is the difference between a woman and a lady? And I would encourage you all to look at Sarah's life and look at all of our matriarchs' life. You see, because again, you must understand a woman and a lady so that you can be understood. This is so important. This is why a lot of people have issues with relationship. They have issues with relationship. Luxury class says woman is a gender, lady is a class of woman. That's a good way to put it. And that's not a wrong answer, luxury class, because that's your opinion and that's your thought process. You see, to me, a woman is just a title, but a lady is a respect and honor. Woman is a title that's endowed upon every person that's been called a female, born into this world as a female. So you become a woman. That's just it's a title, you see. But a lady is a position of respect, honor, dignity, dignified. You see, the characteristics will bear you out. Remember we talked about this earlier. People can go around talking all the talk and using these words, but at the end of the day, you know what you're going to look at? The physical presentation, physical manifestation on the ground. What do you see before your eyes? As you see that lady/woman walk down the street, as they interact with other people in relationships, as they go to the Starbucks and buy coffee. Are they going in there with attitude? Well, you better give me my coffee now. You didn't give me my right amount of change. Blah, 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 blah. What is that? Opposed to, oh, thank you very much, sir, for this coffee. And by the way, here's a tip for you. Do you see the difference between a woman and a lady? Are you with me, Miss Baha? It's how you carry yourself, how you present yourself, how you perceive yourself is what's going to be manifested out in the open, or what I call physical presentation on the ground. Because what do you see with your two eyes that the Creator gave you? And then we perceive from what we see. You understand what I'm saying? So there's a big difference between a woman and a lady. So you men in this room, you need to be in pursuit of a lady. More than a woman. What's more than a woman? A lady. Are you with me, men in the room? And you probably, some of you, I already have my lady. I already have my lady. And believe me, I'm not the tramp. You ever seen that cartoon, Lady and the Tramp? Well, I'm not the tramp. She's my queen and I'm the king. Because she understands me. I understand her and I am understood. I tell you, when you get that relationship down mentality like that, it's simple. Is that we all have a place and a role in humanity. Whether you want to see it or not, it's there. There is a hierarchy. How many of you understand there's kingdoms on this earth? I'm going to talk about the spiritual side, but how many of you understand on the earth there's kingdoms? Anybody understand that? You understand that there's kingdoms? Now, in the kingdoms, any kind of government worth its weight, when you look at these kingdoms, you see, when you look at these kingdoms, there's kingdoms. You have the animal kingdom. You have the plant kingdom. You understand? There's kingdoms. You have the human kingdom. Now, in these kingdoms, I'm going to tell you, when you look at the best kingdoms or the human kingdoms, let's look at those for a minute, study those and do a quick study. You look at human kingdoms, the most productive and prosperous kingdoms this day will have government, will have a proper government that is followed, you see, where everybody's given a role to play and they play their roles. When you look at kingdoms, governments that are run properly will have this in order that everybody understands the government and the government is understood. Do you get where I'm going? Now, kingdoms that are in chaos will be kingdoms that are just the opposite of that. Well, whether you're not understood, and everybody's confused, and you don't know who's the leader from who's the servant, and who's to do this, and who's the... But when you know your role, because it's not about a title. I love to call my wife my queen. Oh, she's my queen. But it's not just in word, it's in deed. She exemplifies queen. Why? It's because she understands her king. I'm understood. Are you getting it? You see, a lot of people just throw the title. Oh, I'm not going to call, oh, here's a woman. Oh, I ain't gonna call you king. You ain't my king. And that's just how they talk. Oh, you ain't my king. That's a woman. You know what a lady is? Yes, my king. And thank you for calling me queen, because I see myself as a queen. I'm your queen. But the woman, oh, I'm not going to call you king, but you call me queen. You call me queen because I'm your queen. But I'm not going to call you king. You see where I'm going? There's a big difference. And we can flip it the other way, because believe me, I'm not female bashing. I love females. I love women, and I love ladies. I love all of them. But again, you have to put them, we have to put them in their place. You have to understand relationship. And it goes both ways. It goes both ways. See, because there's a difference for you ladies. There's a difference between a man and a gentleman. Ladies, you with me? There's a big difference between a man and a gentleman. Man is just a title given to him. You see? There's a difference between a man and a gentleman. And you need to understand that too, women. Don't just run after any old man. But look for the qualities of that gentleman. Any women in the house, put up a W if you're in the house. Any women in the house, I need to know if you're here. Any women in the house this day, this Shabbat. Any women in the house. Women in the house, what would be some qualities of what you would consider a gentleman? Give me an example of a gentleman. Any takers for the women? And these are just your opinion. But what do you think a gentleman is? What is that to you? What is that, a gentleman? A good listener, to die for that, is a gentleman. Understanding, there you go. We talking about that, understanding and to be understood. You see, trustworthy, kind, to die for that. Ya'el 1:10. Rabbi Zion, to die, a good listener. That's an excellent one. You see, because in order to understand, you must be able to listen. You just can't have it one way. Respectful. Oh, that's beautiful. Noble. How he treats others. There you go. See, gentlemen, you men in the room, I hope you're taking notes. You have your pen and paper out. You listen via YouTube. Good listener. Understanding. Trustworthy, kind. Respectful. Noble. How he treats others. You want gentleman qualities? Take note. This is from real life, earth-treading women on the face of this earth that are saying these things. Beautiful. To die for your responses, women in the room. So it goes both ways. You see, now I'm putting this puzzle together for you here. It's a beautiful puzzle we put together because I want you to see something. I want you to understand something. And I want you to be understood just as much as I want you to understand. You have to be able to balance that out. Most folks run around here trying to wanting to be understood, but they don't understand. You understand what I mean? And thus, their relationships are shaky at best, rocky, maybe even breaking and cracking, or maybe even just a disaster. But we want blessed relationships. We want relationships that are full and peaceful and full of love and joy and peace, and happiness, Baruch Hashem. And it can happen. Not that a relationship can't get rocky in a minute, because it can. But when you understand and you are understood, then you both can come together and you can work it out and you can talk it out. And you can move on and you can respectfully disagree or you can respectfully agree. Or you can just meet somewhere in the middle and you can carry on loving one another. Just as much as you love yourself, you place that love into one another. That's beautiful, isn't it? But you must be willing to be understood and you must understand, Mishpahah. I hope this is helping somebody this day, either in this room or listening via YouTube. Because this is not from me. This is from the Mother Wisdom, the Chokhmah. It's beautiful. Our way of life, our way of living is beautiful. And this way of life and way of living, it should be for all humanity. But most people choose not to be gentlemen. They just want to be men. Running around with all these babies' mamas. Not being responsible. Not being noble. Ducking and dodging the law enforcement. Come on, man. Become a gentleman. And most people don't want to be the lady. Most women don't want to be, they want to be the I'm woman, hear me roar. Rah, 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 rah. Ain't nobody over me, I can do everything a man can do, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Well, wait a minute. When you understand who you are, and you understand that you came from the side bones of a man, they can say, oh, but I believe in the Bible, blah, blah. Well, the Bible says you came from the side bones. Know your role, know your place. And you have an awesome role, ladies. Oh, you have such an awesome role. I look at my wife every day after she done just gave birth to our newborn son, Nakshan. I'm looking at my wife and I'm like, man, you're just like totally awesome. You're so strong. You're so patient. You're so loving. That's a lady, man. I had to go to China for my lady. Maybe some of you don't have to go to China. Maybe you have to go somewhere else. Maybe you just have to go across the street. Maybe you just have to leave your state. But for me and my relationship, as Akoyin was telling you, I had to go. For me, I had to go to China. I manifested China. And China came. And China is here in Texas now, Baruch Hashem. And I'm totally happy. Totally happy. Full of love, full of joy, full of peace. Now I'm looking at Nakshan as I'm bouncing him in the bouncer as I talk to you right now. He's sleeping in the bouncer. I look at him and I see peace, love, and joy and happiness. And I see the power of creativity, which we're going to see in our books here in just a minute as we open them up. As we look at Sarah, and we're going to open this up. More than a woman. Now do you get where I'm coming from with the more than a woman, Mishpah? You should want. Sarah was more than a woman. Let's read this. Let's open up our books here. Genesis chapter 23, verse 1. And again, I read from the Abrahamic-Faith Bible. If you don't have this Bible, please get it. You know, I had some calls coming this week to us here at Forever Israel. And just people, you know, with a desire. And, again, I'm understanding people. But again, at the same time, they sit in here and they allow me the opportunity to be understood as well. As I understand folks, and they come to you with these Bible verses. I don't know, you all, you go through it, your 6 days of labor. They come to you and they quote you from our books, from the Bible, but yet it's misquoted and it's totally taken out of context. How many of you have dealt with that before? Especially these past 6 days of labor. It happens all the time, right? I'm not the only one. People will come to you quoting you from our books. They'll quote you verses from our history, from Jewish, from Hebrew, from Israelite history. Yet they're taking quotes totally out of context. You're like, wow, that I'm understanding you, but you're totally taking that out of context. You see, you're taking that verse and you're putting a quick Christian spin, the Catholic spin on it. But the verse in its purity, it's from the Israelite, the Hebrew history. Are you with me, Mishpah? And so they take all of our verses out of context because you know why? They're not Hebrew historians. They don't know Israelite history. They just run to the New Testament. Remember what the man Moses, whatever name, what did he say? When in doubt, go to the New Testament. No, wrong answer. When in doubt, run to Moses. Moses is what his name was. Run back to the laws of Moses. And what do they say? Because the whole history of the Bible's foundation. Now, let me say this. I want you to pay close attention to it. The whole history of the Bible's foundation is based upon the laws of Moses. Anybody disagree with that? It's based upon the first 5 books of the Bible. Even the Messiah Yeshua, he said the same thing. Well, what does the laws of Moses say? As they came to him, wanting to press on some new way of living, No, what does the laws of Moses say? That's where I hang my hat, or my turban, on what does the laws of Moses say. You see? But this is not popular. Not many people want to hear that because new is in and old is out. How many know what I'm talking about? The newer, the better, the more popular, the more famous, the more you're going to be attracted because it's new. No, give me the old anytime, any day of the week. Old, give me the forever ways, the ancient ways of our forefathers, because old is established. Old has been tried and tested and proven over the centuries. Baruch Hashem, you see? Trick or treat. Yeah. They want to give you the new. They want to give you what's new. And they want to dress it up. And then they want to claim it as their own. When it's all just actually it's all old and ancient and forever. But they try to dress it up and put new clothes on it and call it something else when it's not. And it's all just the history of the Hebrews, the descendants of the Hebrews, the Israelites, who have evolved now into what they call Jews, the people of the books. Baruch Hashem. And as much as they try to change it, you can't change it. You may try to change it, but whatever's done in the dark light is going to expose it in due time. And we just wait because we don't concern ourselves with time. Time is irrelevant to the people of the books because we live in eternity. How many of you know Torah is eternity? It's eternal. I mean, our God doesn't change. I am God, I change not. That's why you, Jacob, haven't been destroyed, because I don't change. So when I make this covenant with you, Jacob, it's forever. It's eternal. Baruch Hashem. And all of you are participants of that covenant. Either by blood right or because that's what you choose to do. You choose to be grafted in. And all the nations will be grafted into you. Abraham, Baruch Hashem. So that's what it's really about when we look at it at the end of the day. Relationship establishment. But to establish a relationship, you must be understood. You must be willing to be understood, but you must understand at the same time. Genesis chapter 23, verse 1. So, as I was saying earlier, people, my goodness, they come to you and they quote these things and they call in, oh, Rabbi, this verse means this. And the first thing I tell them, hey, make sure you get the Abrahamic-Faith Bible. You can purchase it on Amazon. Get that Bible. That Bible is going to help you tremendously in your Bible study. Add it to your other Bibles. Compare it. The commentary is going to blow you away. It's going to give you the Hebrew history. It's going to give you the Israelite history. It's going to give you the proper genealogies and everything that was tried to be taken out of was taken out of the Torah. That's the only part they really touched in the Torah. It took out some genealogy, took out some family. But that New Testament, they ripped that up. They totally ripped that up. And I think that was by God design, creative design. Don't touch the Torah. MC Hammer used to say, what, can't touch this? Don't touch the Torah. Because remember we talked about earlier, that's foundation. That's baseline. That's where you start from there and you build your house. And your house will never falter. It will never fall. It cannot be moved. Baruch Hashem. It starts with the laws of Moses. First five books. First five books. How many of you here, you live by the first five books? How many of you? That's me. I live by the first five books. That's my way of living. It's my life. And like Hakohi said in his lecture earlier, that will never change. Torah is king. My life. Torah is king. And now Torah is exposing and opening up areas that, wow, I could have never imagined. Now I realize I'm just scratching the surface in our way of living, in our way of life. Right? Just scratching the surface. When we get deeper and we keep digging, always willing to learn. We're the forever student, right? That's always willing to learn. And always willing to understand. Not overstand. YouTube will tell you, you need to overstand God. No, I don't need to overstand. I'm trying to stay underneath God. I'm trying to stay humble and meek. That's what's important. Humble and meek. I'm not trying to overstand God. And you need to overstand the laws of Moses. That's a bunch of pig water. No, I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to get under the covering of the God of Israel. Get under the family of Jacob and learn and live and love. That's what's important. But that's not popular. You see? But that's okay. Because I'm not here for a popularity contest. I'm here to live a life and live a life that's more abundantly. Baruch Hashem. That's me in a nutshell. Genesis chapter 23 verse 1. Sarah lived 127 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. The life of Sarah. Devoted. I mean, this woman, who I see as a lady, was given the title of a parsha. The life of Sarah. Now, we're going to kick in some numerology. This is going to blow you guys away. No, it probably won't, because you all understand it. Or at least you're willing to be understood. Can anybody add the numbers of Sarah? We're going to do some numerology here. Genesis 23 and 1, it says that Sarah lived 127 years. Can anybody add those numbers up for me? Tell me what you get. The 127 years. What do you get? Can anybody tell me? Abraham, you write on it. You get 10, right? Abraham, your math is awesome. You get the number 10. Now, how many of you men remember back in the day, and maybe you still say it? You said, I'm going after that 10. I'm going after that number 10. I want a number 10. I want that 10 woman, that 10 lady. I want the number 10. Anybody used to say that or use that? Or you had that mind thought process? I want the number 10. Don't give me the number 5. I want the number 10. Or you said it like this. She's a 10. Anybody ever said that? I know I did. I used to say that. Oh, she's a 10. Anybody used to say that? You men in the room. Oh, she's a 10, baby. She's a 10. Sarah was a 10. Do you see it? In her name. And not in her name. In her years on this earth. Now, can anybody in numerology tell me what the number 10 means? Anybody? Because I used to always say this, and I manifested my number 10. 10 is the number. There you go, Abraham. 10 is the number for complete. Completion. 10 is the number for completion. Listen, we talk about relationships. When you get a woman, man, and Judaism will tell you this as well. When you look at a Talmud, all these opinions of rabbis, they'll tell you that a man is only half of a man until he marries. Anybody ever heard that before? I taught on this before. That a man is only half of a man until he marries. Do you all understand that? We're told in our books, we just read it in our books, is that a man is to leave his mother and his father and cleave to his who? His wife. And the two are no longer two, the two become one. I'm paraphrasing. But do you get that? So in our Talmud, this is why they say this, the rabbis will say, oh, a man is only half of a man until he marries. So what does that say about a woman? More than a woman. Is that a woman completes a man. Isn't that beautiful? Do you see it? A woman completes a man. I believe that. I'm living that. Had to go to China to get completion, but I see that. Anybody with me? Put up a 10 if you with me, like, Rabbi, I get what you're saying. As much as you may want to fight it and say, oh, Rabbi, I tried relationships in the past, it just didn't work, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 so I'm giving up. Don't give up. It's because to complete you, you see, to complete you, you have to have that woman. You only have. Woman the same way. Don't believe the hype of this new stuff that they're telling you. Oh, just stay single and mingle. No. Do you know they're taking surveys of highly successful executive women here in America? And you know what a woman wants to do? The women said in a minute they'll give up their successfully high-paying salary job, executive, to go be at home and raise a family. Isn't that beautiful? You see, because you must understand who you are. Not saying a woman can't go out and do all these things, but again, when we get to the kingdom roles and your place in the kingdom, you must understand and be understood. I take high value and I have high respect for women that stay at home and raise children to go out and do great and marvelous things. That is the bedrock and foundation of true success to me. Because I understand a homemaker, a woman that stays home, a lady that stays at home and takes care of the family, she's working 10 jobs. How many of you know what I'm talking about? She's not just working one job, she has 10 jobs. She's working like the Jamaicans. They have like 10 jobs. I seen that joke. Oh, you Jamaican man, I have 10 jobs. A woman that stays home, 10 jobs. If you're a Jamaican, no offense. As a matter of fact, I'm giving you praise. I'm lifting you up because you guys are some hard workers. And you're willing to work. You're not lazy people. But do you see where we're going here? Sarah, upon her death, her numbers add up to 10. Beautiful. Torah is telling us here that Sarah was complete. Is complete. My goodness. Isn't that beautiful? The life of Sarah was a complete life. Now, we have to cover this part as well. More than a woman. We must cover this side to it as well. Can anybody tell me, and this is where the Abrahamic-Faith Bible just comes in and it outshines everything on the face of this earth, in my opinion. Let's go to Genesis chapter 23, verse 2. So Sarah died in Kiryat Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan, and Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Oh my goodness. You have completion, but then you lose that half. You lose your complete. Of course you're going to mourn. Of course you're going to mourn. Listen, I got a newborn son over here, Nakshan. I tell you what, and this gave me perspective on many levels here. Nakshan went in just these past couple of days ago and got his first immunization shots. His first set. My goodness, I'm a pediatric nurse. Been one for over 24 years. Mishpah, Nakshan got those shots and I cried. I cried like a baby. Nakshan, I saw him getting these shots and I'm like, and he's crying. You know, and just cry. I never heard him cry like this before because he was a virgin to shots and immunizations, right? He having to give these shots and I cried. And I'm like, my goodness, I could not stand there being the gentleman that I am and see my son be put through pain. You understand? And this pain was, I knew the pain was coming. And yet I still cried. Any thoughts on that, Mishpah? Think about this for a minute. And I cried and I'm like, man, I don't like to see my son in pain. Let me take the pain. This, you see, a first time father, man, this all new to me, man. Whole new world. And I'm like, and it gave me a perspective on how the Abba feels towards the children of Israel. I was like, wow. The God doesn't want us in any pain. He doesn't want us in any suffering. This is why you sit there asking God, well, God, what do you want me to do? And I was like, well, what's going to make you happy? What's going to give you joy? Anybody as a parent, you know where I'm at? Maybe first time parent, when you seen your child get shot, did you cry? Is anybody with me or I'm in the class by myself? I cried. I was like, my goodness. And I've never heard Nakshan put out this kind of screech, this cry that he did. I did to die. I did. At least I know I'm a human being, and I cried. My son got his first shots. 2 months old. And I'm crying. I'm like, wow. I said, and I told myself, I don't want to see my son in pain. I don't want him in my, to die for that make my day. To die for that. I don't want him in any pain. You know my first thought? Oh, I wish I could take the pain for him. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Let me take that pain. Wow. And it reminded me of the Master Yeshua. I was like, wow. Think about that for a minute. I'm like, ooh, this is. Now, I mean, parenthood is the relationship of father to son. And I'm like, this is the relationship of father to son. How much more so with son to mother? I'm pretty sure it's a lot deeper because my son came from the womb of my mother, of my wife. She's over there crying. I'm like, okay, good. I'm like, oh, and I tell you, so we comfort. And so what do we, first thing we do? And he gets the shots, and we comfort him. We comfort him. And try to console him. And my wife is holding him close to her bosom. Wow. See, then this whole piece of the puzzle starts to come together for me. It's like an enlightenment. You know, we talked about the layers of the Torah. Torah is literally becoming real to me through this experience that I had with my son getting his first immunization shots. Totally beautiful. So yes, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some mourning, some weeping for Sarah. When you have a 10 and your 10 is gone, some of you didn't even have some 10s in the past, and you went through a divorce, and you still weeped and mourned. Am I correct? And you didn't even have a 10. You may have a 5. Maybe you had a negative 5. You had an 8. And you went through a divorce, and you still cried, and you mourned. Because it was probably almost the same feeling like of loss, because you lost somebody. You know what I mean? And that's human nature. That's natural. Hey, don't shun it. Don't say, well, the rabbi cries, he's less than a man. Are you kidding me? I cry, and that makes me a gentleman. You can call me less than a man, but I cry, and that makes me a gentleman. How about that? Because real men cry. Correct me if I'm wrong. A real man, a gentleman will cry. A man will try to keep up this macho, machismo, mumbo jumbo. Nakshan told me, I'm Nakshan. My wife was telling me, her friend in China, talking to her friend in China, we have a baby. Our babies are about almost the same. I think her friend in China's baby is a little bit, maybe 6 months older than Nakshan is. And she's telling me, she's like, my friend in China, her husband doesn't want to pick up, his daughter, the little baby, newborn baby, because he says the daughter's too heavy. I'm like, what? Doesn't make any sense. Oh, the daughter's too heavy, so he doesn't pick her up. She's too heavy. I was like, oh no, it's important. You tell her that it's important that her husband picks up, his daughter, because that bonding between father and child is very important. That bond, that touching, that holding, that embracing, that's important. But I guess he doesn't see it that way. He doesn't see it that way. But that's just very, very important. Very, very important. So for these machismo, so-called men out there who don't embrace their baby, who don't want to show emotional, you keep your man status, but I'm gonna be a gentleman. I'm gonna keep it real. You see? Eddie says that's a whack excuse I've ever heard that. Yeah, I've never heard that. Oh, indeed. But again, as I understand the Chinese manhood mindset is that the way they show their love is through their work. They just work themselves to death, literally. So they don't spend time with the family at all, and they don't have that physical. I mean, and my whole thing is, man, I want to be around Nakshan 24/7, 365. See him grow up. That's in my affirmations. I want to be with my family. I don't want to be away from them, but I understand the Chinese mindset. So the men think they honor their families more by being away. That's Chinese mindset. How you going to build a good relationship? Beautiful relationship is what? To understand and be understood. So I understand that. So I try to inject little golden nuggets every now and then to my Chinese contemporaries over there, the men over there. They don't have to be men. They can be gentlemen. So you must teach them. You see? You must infuse and empower them. Because this is all foreign to them. Just like Abraham said, I'm a foreigner here. I'm a sojourner. I'm not from here. But I need some land. So listen, so let's go back to this because I think this is very important. This is very important what we want to uncover here. So we see, so Genesis chapter 23 verses 2 says, so Sarah died. So Sarah died. Now, for those of you who have the Abrahamic-Faith Bible, you can tell me, why did Sarah die? Think about this for a minute. Why did Sarah die? And it seems like, remember, if you listen to Hakoin's lecture, he's like, well, you must be prepared for death. You must have burial places. Well, last time I checked, Abraham wasn't prepared for this, was he? Well, where you going with this, Rabbi? I'm trying to take you somewhere. We opening up the books. Why did Sarah die? Can anybody tell me? Why? Eddie says she died from grief. To die for that, the Torah. Eddie says when he brought his son Isaac to the mountain. Abraham says Satan deceived her. The news of the sacrifice of Isaac. She thought he would sacrifice Isaac. That killed Sarah. So you see why I gave you the story with me and Nakshan getting his first shots? I get that as a human being. I'm a father and I'm crying. He's getting the shots. First immunization. But for me, that screech, that cry that Nakshan put up, that he put out, my goodness. I was like, man, wow. I don't want you in this kind of pain. So I could imagine the pain that a mother has for a son. And believe me, Sarah loved Isaac. But let me tell you this day. Remember we talked about relationships? How many of you know a husband and a wife, they have a relationship? Abraham and Sarah had a relationship. And Sarah was a queen, by the way. But they had a relationship. A husband and wife type relationship. Now, Sarah didn't have to die. Yeah. Somebody came to her with some news. I tell you, words can kill, can't they? Y'all see that. Sarah died from grief. She didn't have to die. But she died from grief. Grief of what? Thinking that her son was killed. Being sacrificed by his father. Man. I mean, immunization shots had me crying. Can you imagine something like this? The news, the information of something like this coming out? More than a woman. The news or the information of something like this coming out? Is that your son was killed by his father? Wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Logically. But if Sarah understood Abraham, she would realize Abraham could never do that. You get where we going here? Now we start to put the pieces of the puzzle together. It's important in a relationship that Abraham was understood. You see? That's what's important. Did Sarah understand Abraham? That's the more important question. Because regardless of what other people are going to say, you see what I'm saying? Regardless of what other people are going to say, if there's understanding should, excuse my pun, but trump everything else. See where we're going? Because people are going to say all kind of, slander and gossip going to put out there. But do you believe the gossip? Do you believe it? Hakoin talked about this in the lecture. What do you believe? And her belief in that killed her. Grief. She died of grief, man. Are you kidding me? But what did I talk about earlier? What you must look at is the physical evidence on the ground. Sarah didn't wait to see a physical body. She never got that far. And this is a great lesson for you all to understand. The evil one will come at women because they're weaker vessels. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful kind of way. But just the news of hearing that, the words, killed Sarah. So even the perfect 10 can have those let's just say cracks that will be what? Penetrated, or at least that will be explored. You see? Do you see this? I want you all to see this. Sarah was more than a woman. But what happened here is that Sarah didn't take the time to put all the pieces of the puzzle together like we're doing. We can Monday morning quarterback this. We put all the pieces of the puzzle together. You don't just go with a reaction based on a response. Go with a reaction based on evidence. What you see. Did Sarah ever get around to seeing a dead Isaac? She never got to that point. Wow, what does that tell you about your emotion? You must put those in check. Emotions are a good thing, but they have their place. Yeah, my emotions, I started crying when I seen Nachshon get the shots, but I realized, hey, Nachshon needs these shots. He's got to get these shots, or, that's going to mess up his whole life. Because he won't be able to get in school. They'll tell him no shots, no school, blah, 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 and da-da-da. And I'm not going to get in all the conspiracy theory with conspiracy theories, with, immunizations and blah, blah, blah. There's no time for all that. Shots are required by this government. He's going to get these shots, no problem. He's protected by the God of Israel. He's protected by my wife's breast milk. He's so protected. He's covered. Sean is whole and well and complete. That's real to me. You see what I mean? You see, because logic was, he really didn't need to get in the shot. You see how logic, I destroy logic. I'm a logic destroyer. And I do it myself. Because I can think for myself. I don't have to have others think for me. Sarah had others think for her. And she went with it. And she took it and ran with it. And she died from grief, man. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? But it happens. Our 10. Sarah, perfect 10. The life of Sarah. But what took away from her life on the face of this earth was her emotions. Love has its place, but love don't run the roost here. How many of you have been hoodwinked and bamboozled by love? I have, I tell you. Oh, baby, I love you. I love hoodwinked and bamboozled, led astray, exploited by love. That word love, come on, man. I've been there, done that. I'm experienced in that area. Been married a few times to prove it. Oh, but she said she loved me. Yeah, whatever. But she said she loved me. See, love has its place, but love don't rule the roost here. No way, no how. Sarah was the most loyal person you ever want to meet. Loving Abraham, oh my goodness. But what happened? That love for her son. The emotion side of it. I would encourage you all you ladies in the room, is to wait for the manifestation of the physical presentation. Don't just go by the hearsay and the slander and the gossip. How many ladies in the room that you empathize with Sarah because you've been there? People say things and you begin to believe it, and before you know it, what they say, because you receive it, it begins to grow, and that little thing that they said turns into some big old thing that was created by you that didn't even have to go there, and it was never real. To die for your responses and your honesty, by the way, because I think that's important. But now you've grown from that. You've totally grown from that. And that's great. Chalk it up as great experience. And now you move on from there. Men as well. Chalk it up as, oh, but Rabbi, he loved me. Okay, well, she loved me, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Now you understand that you don't put love in the forefront. What you put in the forefront is loyalty. And until you see Abraham come back with a casket with Isaac in there, then you stick with loyalty. And you don't let emotions run the roost. That's so important to understand. Believe what you see. And if you create within self, you see a casket within self, then it's done. Game over. But if you see your son still walking and talking and you see him having grandchildren, then Baruch Hashem. Believe what you see first within self. Do it yourself. That's what's very important. More than a woman, Sarah was. Oh, indeed. Fatal flaw was what? What was Sarah's fatal flaw in your opinion? What lesson does Sarah leave with us on the face of this earth? Our great matriarch. What lesson does she leave with us? Any takers? What lesson do you get from that? More than a woman, indeed. More than a woman. What's your takeaway? What's your takeaway from Sarah? Any takers? From what we just talked about. We only read 2 verses, but look at what we pull from this. It's a lot. You can be complete, but yes, with flaws. Indeed. Be optimistic and don't trust strangers with bad news, especially. Trust in Yahweh. More importantly, trust in your husband. To top of that, Eddies, but trust in your husband. That relationship that has been established my goodness. If somebody can come to me and say, hey, Kefa, Yah forbid, hey, your wife just killed your son, Nachan. I'm going to let, whatever, dude. I'm not even going to let logic set in. I'm going to laugh that off, and I'm going to confront my wife, and I already see her with Nachan already. You know what I mean? Our Torah says, control my emotions. Oh, indeed, control them. Emotions have their place. We're supposed to have emotions. We've been given emotions, but they have their place, and not to run the roost. I ran with that emotion of love so many times. And guess what? Love let me down, and love broke my heart. Oh, my heart is broken. I call my father, oh, Dad, my heart is broken. How many of you said that before? Oh, she broke my heart. Well, thank God you're still with us. Baruch Hashem. But you see, you can't run with those kind of emotions. You can't. Emotions have their place. And I think I was fully right for crying for Nachshon, but then I had to snap out of the crying and realize, okay, this is what needs to be done. Has to be done. I understand. Let me console you. Let me put you in my bosom. And you know what I told Nachshon? I said, you know what, Daddy's going to always be with you. I'm going to always be with you. Always. That's what I told him. As I was wiping the tears away. Daddy's with you. Daddy's with you. Don't worry. You're never alone. You're never alone. He's only 2 months old. But that's what, you see what I'm infusing and penetrating in him? Oh, Daddy's with you. Oh, Daddy's going to hug you. Daddy will embrace you. You understand? That's real. Because one day, believe it or not, we're going to spend a lot of time in China once Nachshon gets of age. Because Nachshon is Chinese. He's Chinese and he's Hebrew. So, yeah, I'm not going to neglect him from, again, I want Nachshon to understand and I want Nachshon to be understood. So, when he's over there and he's grown and gone, or when he's over there in China and we're over there and he sees that, oh, men don't embrace their children. Men don't hug their sons and daughters. He'll realize, wow, I wasn't brought up that way. We do things this way, which is great. Baruch Hashem. So I think this is so very important. Yeah, emotions have their place. I don't like seeing my son in pain. The Master Yahweh doesn't like to see his children in pain. He wants you all happy, full of peace, love, and joy. He wants you all complete. And for you men in the room, women as well, completion requires the two becoming one. That's very important. That's very important in the makeup of Israel. We come from the family of Jacob, Mishpah. How many wives did Jacob have? Relationship is important. What, the last one didn't work out, so what? That was the last one. Now you come in new and afresh. That's very important. Very, very important. Jacob had 4 wives. So you think what did he think about relationship? Relationship was very important. You come from that family. Now you're saying, well, Rabbi's telling me to go get 4 wives. No, I'm telling you to go get 1. I'm telling you to go get 1 more than a woman. You know what I told my wife this morning? I said, you know what, honey? You 10 wives. That's what I told her. I said, you are 10 wives. What do you mean? I don't need another wife. You are 10. Wow. Do you think that didn't make her happy? But that was real. That's real. I'm telling her, I speak from the heart. That's real. That's real. And I mean that with every part of my being. She is 10 wives. Rolled up into just 1. Sarah was a 10. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was Sarah a 10? Come on now, Mishpah. Sarah was a 10, so my wife is a 10. Sarah was a 10. Baruch Hashem. How many men in this room you want a 10 wife? Go get her. Go get her. Do it yourself. Visualize, imagine, and it will be. Believe, and then it will be. I'm telling you. Man, I had failure and failure and failure after a relationship. Did I give up? No. Matter of fact, hell no, I didn't give up. I wasn't going to give up on relationship because I knew there was a such thing as a perfect relationship for me and how I wanted it. Now, the thing about it is, just like I told you in this lecture, I had to go get the relationship. The relationship didn't come to me in an Amazon box. No. The relationship did not come. I didn't see on my ring, oh, here's your relationship. Open the door. No, relationship didn't come to me that way. I had to go out and get my relationship. Baruch Hashem. That's our motto, Mishpah. Go get it. We're go-getters. Go out and get what you want. You see your 10, go get it. Women, you see your 10, go get that gentleman. Go get it. Go get it. But already have him inside of yourself. Do it yourself. Gentleman will come. Lady will come. So on that note, we'll wrap it up this Shabbat. More than a woman. Beautiful lecture, huh? Beautiful. I mean, had great meaning to it. More than a woman. More than a woman. Divorce says, I'll be glad when he finds me. Well, then, divorce. Don't wait. Go get him. You go get that gentleman. And then he'll find you. And then you'll find each other. I'm telling you, that's how it's going to work, divorce. Go get him. You see him how you want him. You see that gentleman. And don't, in your affirmations, don't just say, oh, send me a man. No, you say, send me a gentleman. I want this gentleman, such and such and such and such. Imagine him. Have dreams about him. You guys are drinking wine together at a nice restaurant. Or like on the cartoon, The Lady and the Tramp. They sitting at a nice Italian restaurant and they're eating spaghetti together and their lips just come together. Oh, that's so romantic. I'm like, wow, that's a little romantic scene there, man. I tell you, what a how many of you seen that little cartoon, Lady and the Tramp? Oh, nice little dog cartoon. I tell you, I'm a dog lover. And they sing that music, this is the night. How romantic is that, Miss Fahar? That's so romantic, isn't it? So romantic. Dog romanticism. I'm telling you what. That's so romantic. And they're eating that, and they have their spaghetti, and they eat the spaghetti, and their two lips come together, and the music is playing, and the ambiance is there with the candles. I tell you, it's beautiful. Beautiful. Imagine it however you want to imagine. Maybe it's not a Lady in the Tramp scene, maybe it's something else. Beauty and the Beast, I don't know. Whatever it is, imagine it, and it'll be yours. But you got to imagine it. You got to manifest it. You got to believe it. And then you go get it. Listen, China wasn't going to come to me. I had to go to China. In all due respect, Devorah. I had to buy a plane ticket and carry my happy feet to China. You see? For my happy wife, happy life. And now my happy son here. My goodness. you understand? It's a process. Don't have half of the formula, because then you'll never complete the process. You must have the complete process, the game plan laid out, and then just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. It's that easy. It's that easy. Because we're doers. We know what we're doing. We go out and do it. More than a woman? For you women, you can say more than a man. I have a gentleman. More than a man. And I tell you what, you know why it was even a shock to Abraham? Because he had to buy land. He didn't have land set up like that. Did you think Abraham thought Sarah was going to die? No, he didn't. It was a shock to him too. So now he's got to go buy land. He wasn't expecting this. But again, it's all about understanding and being understood. Now, we can money quarterback this, man. But if you knew this going in, man, you know what I would have done? As a gentleman, I'd have went to my wife, I'd have sat her down and say, honey, listen. Beforehand, listen, there's some things that's going to go down. Don't worry about it. Just believe and trust in me. Trust in me. You know, we have a relationship. We've been together for a long time. I've never steered you wrong. I need you to trust me on this. We'll fill in the details later, but I need you to trust me. What do you think about that? You think that'll help the situation? Yeah, we Monday morning quarterbacking it, but Sarah at least would have went in with a little bit more ammunition. You know what I mean? A little bit more firepower, so when all the gossip and negativity comes, she'll remember what her husband last told her. Think about that for a minute. So in our relationships going forward, yeah, we don't need to tell our wives everything, but at least we can, okay, honey, listen, just trust in me like you always have. Know that I love you. Know that I love this family. Family, most important thing to me. But just trust me on this. I'm going to fill in the details later. Do you get it? How many women, if what I just said would have resonated with you, do you think it would have helped you? Put up a capital H if that's you. Like, yeah, Rabbi, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I know I'm Monday morning quarterbacking it. But again, I want to be understood. And I want my wife to understand me. You see what I'm saying? So if I just went, I don't have to give her the full details. She'll get that later. But at least I can give her some ammunition so that while I'm gone, if somebody would have said, oh, your husband's over here doing this with so-and-so, she'll be like, oh, no. And again, see, you don't want to give oxygen to logic. You just want to make sure logic is killed. And you really want to reinforce that, men, in your wives. You have to reinforce it. You have to build up a firewall for your wives. And saying what I just said will help, in the relationship. Because how many of you know the most awesome relationships in the world are those that have open communication? The best relationships will be those relationships that are based on communicating. You got to communicate. That's tough one. You can't just assume. You got to communicate. I need to communicate to my wife. Okay, look, this is what's going down. I don't need to tell her everything, but say, just respect me. I mean, just trust me on this. You've always respected me. Don't let it stop now. Matter of fact, I need you to trust me even more on this. And it's going to work out in the end. It's going to work. Just trust me. I'll fill in the details later. So I think that would have been a great, to offer your responses, women, by the way. But I think that would have been a great help. Instead of just going all, wake up in the morning, Isaac and Abraham gone. Oh, no problem. Let me continue on with my day, house cleaning, and then all of a sudden, when there's no information, then there's misinformation. When there's no communication, then there's miscommunication. Do you get it? So this is why it's very important. Even I communicate. This is so important. That's why I communicate to Nachan. I'm here with you. I'm never going to leave you. I'm always going to be. You'll never be alone. Got to keep that communication over. See, first thing after Nachan gets his shots, I don't want him looking at me like, okay, now every time my father he looks at me, he associates the shot. The shot thoughts come to his mind. No, I want to take those thoughts out of his mind. Do you get it? You see, I don't want to, and Nachshon's infant logic, I don't want him to associate, well, father with shots, father with shots, father with shots. Neither do I want him to associate doctor with shots. I don't want him to do that. So I want to squash that logic. Even infantile logic. I'm squashing. Hey, show him love and compassion and embrace him and put him in bosom and show him love and reinfuse and empower him with love and peace and joy. You get it? That's important. Even for infants, you got to start them young. I didn't get this when I was young, Mishpah. I didn't get this. So now I can give it. Now I'm breaking those chains and I can give it. Isn't that awesome stuff? I tell you, it's brilliant. Our way of life, our way of living is brilliant. Learned a great lesson. Just going to get some immunization shots. But it's more to it than that. It's deeper. Because I like to dig deep. And I want to understand. And I want to be understood. So on that note, we'll wrap it up for this Shabbat. More than a woman. More than a woman, Mishpah. We'll wrap it up for this Shabbat. I love you and I leave you all in the mighty hands of the Master Messiah, Jesus of Nazareth. And if he so desires to linger, we'll see you next Shabbat. And hopefully, if this resonated with any of you listening via YouTube, please come and join us here in the Power Talk room live if you can. If you're working, that's okay. If you're working, that's okay. That's understood. Don't quit your job just to come in on Power Talk on Saturdays. Keep your job and keep in commandment, keeping with the Creator of the heavens and the universe instead of breaking more commandments than you are by keeping. You want to be making more commandments and making and meeting your marks. And so if this is resonating with any of you, please come back. If you're new to the room, first time, second time, please come back. This is what we're all about. We're all about living a way of life and no other agenda here but our Torah. The way we live our lives and our lifestyles. So, Todah Rabbi for all of you, Mishpah. You all have a wonderful Shabbat, a great 6 days of labor ahead, and then we'll see you. I love you and I leave you in the mighty hands of the Creator of the heavens and the universes. Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom to all of you.